All right, here we are. It's Wednesday. It must be Wednesday. I'm very excited to be joined by, now that the cat's out of the bag, my coworker, Ellen Morello, physical therapist of Everex. Ellen, how are you today?
Great. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for having me
Good.
on.
Yeah, this is all great timing. I actually didn't know that Everex was going to roll out the announcement yesterday. Was it
Yes,
yesterday or 2 days ago?
yesterday.
Yeah, it was only yesterday. It seems like forever ago. It seems like we've been together forever. Yeah, I didn't know it was going to roll out yesterday, even when we set up to have this conversation. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm now working with directly with Everex and working directly with Ellen, and I'm going to let her share her story in a second. But right, you guys have heard me here again. I talk about right. I try to bring here what people are talking about, and RTM is about the hottest topic out there right now. And that's why I was so happy to join Everex, because I think they have an awesome platform and they're awesome people. Actually, they're awesome people first. That's why I decided to continue talking with them, and they have an awesome platform. So we want to take this idea of patient engagement and its value to actually driving the result, which is billing for RTM, a little deeper. So Ellen, why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into the conversation here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, so my background, so I'm a PT. I got started as an early employee of a company called Physera, which was an app-based digital PT program. So we did video visits, and we were doing, at the time, it was pretty much RTM, but RTM didn't really have a term or CPT codes or anything like that at the time. This was back in 2017. So the program was really based on video visits, asynchronous chatting, getting people engaged in their home exercise program. That was all delivered through an app-based program. The company was founded by data scientists that came from, they had a lot of product experience. So a lot of the product terms that they used were all focused around engagement. So user engagement, delighting users, all of those things became very core to what we were doing there. And then, once RTM codes came out, it seems that the profession at large is really adopting this sort of model where you don't just have your visits with patients, you have access between visits to chat with patients, to adjust their care plans. And that really is powerful in driving adherence and driving outcomes, because you only have so much time with your patients. The real change happens outside of the clinic. And using technology, you have the ability to help drive some of that change. So I think that's why I'm really excited about RTM, is just to see more and more PTs be using this type of engagement tool.
Thank you. And actually, to piggyback on that, that's exactly why anybody who knows me knows my excitement with RTM and its value to what you just described, the bigger whole. I mean, I'm going to say this probably only 999,000 more times today, is the result of patient engagement and being on, let's call it an RTM platform. The result of all the work that you've done is being able to bill a code and get paid for it. Awesome.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest benefits of RTM is we finally get paid. We physical therapists will stick with that for right now. Finally get paid for stuff we've been doing all along. You were texting patients. I was texting patients. I've called patients in between visits to check in on them. Now we get paid for it. But that can't be, it can't be tell me the codes, tell me how to get paid. That hasn't, by the way, I will jump up and jump down real quick. We've been doing that for my last 33 years in the profession, right? Cool, CPT codes. Sorry, kids, the last 33 years chasing CPT codes and payment, not reimbursement, through CPT codes has looked like this during my whole career. And there's been no upward trajectory. So we can't walk going, I get to say it's my show, fuck CPT codes, fuck Medicare, fuck all the billing, and then go, cool, we have new codes, new billing. How do we do it? No. And that's why we're here today. And I'm going to come off of that. I'm going to come off of that soapbox and go, we're here today to talk about the research. And actually, Ellen's been involved in research based on this. It's research back. So I will challenge you, as I love to do, if you claim to be practicing evidence-based medicine, please make sure you're aware of all the evidence around patient engagement, right? And that's where we want to go today. So I know we may use the word RTM or RTM platform, but I really want people thinking about the RTM and the billing as the end result of the work and the research that we're going to talk about. You want to introduce that, talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even just setting the table, going back to your comment about like chasing the codes, I mean, ultimately, why are we all in this field anyway? It's to get people better. So we should be doing whatever gets people better and chasing that. And, you know, I think the profession at large is in this real flux where we have staff shortages, yada, yada. And everyone's like, these technology tools enable us to work more efficiently and serve more people who clearly need, like, we're, you know, supply and demand problem. We have a supply and demand problem. So like, let's be smart about our time and get people better faster if we can.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I wanted to summarize an article today that was based on some of the participants that we had when I was at Physera. The research was published by Todd Norwood and Lauren Beresford, who were two of my colleagues at Physera. It was published in JMIR in 2022. We presented this research at CSM in 2022. So it's a really powerful example of ways that you can engage people remotely and kind of what that results in terms of driving outcomes. So did we switch to the infographic?
No, here
oh, perfect. Go. Okay, so this is like a really nice infographic that summarized some of the results of the research. So patient engagement was defined as weekly workouts completed and length of time in the program. So program duration was one of those. So the three primary outcomes that we analyzed were function, pain, and satisfaction. So all of those three outcomes, certain components drove more outcomes. So if the patient had more follow-up visits, I think also visits are an engagement metric, right? Attending your visits is an engaged patient.
Well, arrival. Let's say, I hate the word visits, I'm sorry, but let's say they arrived, right? You got to arrive for your scheduled visit in order to complete a course of care, in order to do the work you need to do. And by the way, arrival could be on the platform or in the clinic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. If it's virtual or in clinic, any attendance in, arrival. So that resulted in decreased pain and increased satisfaction. Weekly workouts increased the more that the therapist messaged the patient, the more follow-up visits the patient attended. And interestingly enough, also having early access increased the person's participation and increased weekly workouts. Weekly workouts directly resulted in decreased pain and improved function. And all of the better clinical outcomes improved satisfaction as well. So there's a couple of levers that a PT can pull in terms of what can I do to get my patient more adherent, increase those weekly workouts, improve pain, function, satisfaction. And that is, driving message. So a lot of the article focuses around that rapport that the therapist has with the patient. And you build that rapport communicating with them by seeing them in person and sending them messages. A core part of the program, and this is identified in the article too, is kind of like proactive messaging, proactively checking in on your patients and saying, hey, how's it going with your workouts? What can I do? Do you need any adjustments? Or proactively saying, hey, I noticed it's been a few days since you've done a workout. Is everything good? Well,
that's cool. The tracking part, right? I mean, that to me is early on in a journey, right? So let's just use this example. You get on a patient engagement platform, EverX, right? And you tell your patient, hey, Ellen, we're going to communicate through this. And you're like, sure. I'm going to share the exercises. And you're like, sure. And then the first message you get is, hey, Ellen, I saw you missed a session. Any issues? I mean, it doesn't change the dynamic. It just goes, oh, he wasn't lying or she wasn't lying to me. Wow, This is for real. Wow, they're really, by the way, that says nothing more than I'm important, right?
Yes.
My gosh, my friends.
And when you're prescribing, you know, an RTM episode as a therapist, I think it's really important to get that patient buy-in by explaining all that, to say, hey, I'm going to be able to see if you've done it or not. And please let me know, you know, I'm going to review this feedback. If anything's too difficult or painful, I can make those adjustments. Like, and explaining that to your patient is a really key component of successful RTM, because they know that you're looking at the data. So giving that little, you know, spiel at the end of a session when you're enrolling the patient is super important.
I'm going to I dropped the graphic, by the way. So
yep.
Yeah, no, this is so good. So, you know, I'm looking, so I have a synopsis of the research. By the way, if you go into Chat GPT and start searching patient engagement, that study will come up. Without knowing it was Ellen's study that she was part of, I did all that work. I presented her with some info I pulled together. I said, does this look good? She's like, yeah, it looks good. Well, she didn't say like this. That's my interpretation. She goes, yeah, that's the research I was involved in. So that was really cool. And I have my notes here. Here's the deal. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's 0% providers. If you said, I have the opportunity for you to improve your clinical outcomes, improve your patient's adherence to your plan of care, to your program that you assign them, and to increase their satisfaction with you and the business, would you be willing to have a conversation and invest in something like that? I got to, or at least have a conversation about that, right? There are 0% of providers who would say, no, I don't want to have a conversation. So, right, in people process tech. And what you just described, Ellen, was this convergence of people, process, and tech, right? Mm-hmm. Using tech to drive adherence, to drive communication, to drive that alliance, what we like to call therapeutic alliance. I like to just call team alliance, to drive that alliance, that trust we build with the people we serve. And driving that alliance, driving that trust increases the likelihood of an outcome you want. Someone knowing you're invested in it increases the likelihood of the outcome you want. You showing them you're invested, the messaging, right? So all of this feeds into all those things. So why wouldn't someone want to be on this? The other thing is, I know this isn't about this research, but let's go another direction here, right? These platforms in Everex give us a solution to someone who now magically can't be in the clinic 2 times a week, 3 times a week, maybe even one, right? Maybe even you say, can we do 1 time a week? And it's like, no. So now I have a platform to do all the things I need to do during this course of care, and not, right? So the value of what we do for a person is to give them a plan of care, right? That's where we went to school for 7 years. Oh, some of us 6 years. Sorry. I didn't go 7, by the way, people. I don't have that big D. I have an M behind my name. Right? It was to develop a plan of care and sit down with someone. And for someone like Ellen to say, Jerry, I just can't do that. Maybe it's price, maybe it's cost, maybe it's commitments, prior commitments, it's work, it's travel, it's whatever. And instead of having go, well, let me modify I always love it when you sit in a room for someone with an hour, you put together a plan of care and tell them, this is my expertise. And they go, that's too expensive. And the PT goes, I can shorten it. And I'm like, wait a minute. What just happened?
You weren't prescribing something clinically necessary then.
Yeah, right? Yeah. If it could be shortened. So now you get to sit across from Ellen and go, cool. I hear you, Ellen. And by the way, thank you for sharing, because this is, if we don't address that today, then she's going to drop off, and I'm going to have more, right? I'm going to have less happy patients. She's going to drop off. She's not going to get better, right? But now we can say, you know what, Ellen, I have a solution. So let's sit down and look at this and look at, right? This is our plan of care. This is the work we got to do. But let's look at how we can do some communication and some tracking through the platform that you're already on, right? Our platform.
Mm-hmm.
And with some in clinic, right? This gives you, the provider, better conversations to help that person achieve the outcome that you're invested in now, because they're there with you, right? And that's what you went to school to do, is to learn how to help people reach this destination they want to get to. So there, that's the other thing I love about, I'm just going to call it patient engagement platforms like Everex, is it gives us the ability to sit across from someone and go, I hear you, and I have a solution for you. I mean, in the past, I just have to go, I hear you. What the hell are we going to do? Right. I'm like, now I'm stuck.
Yep. And the care plan, the care plan doesn't have to just be exercises too, right? You're coaching your patients through lifestyle changes. And so maybe, it's like the integrated step counter. You're monitoring step counts. You're monitoring how physically active they are. You're monitoring pain and symptoms. It's not just exercise. You're monitoring range of motion, and you're monitoring posture. And there's so many other lifestyle changes, like, posture. We can all talk about that. Like, making some tweaks to that can, fix your neck pain faster than a few visits sometimes, if you're really committed to lifestyle changes. So this is a tool to become that, like, companion to your patient and drive those changes at home. Like, hey, did you adjust your desk? And now you're there, and they read the message, and they're home at their home setup, and they can make those adjustments. Hey, did you change your pillow? Did you get new footwear? Did you, like, whatever the lifestyle or like minimal.
Well, like you said too, did you get outside today and do your 5, right? Your 2,000 steps, and you can see it too. Yes. So it's not just, thanks for bringing that all up. It's not just a subjective, hey, I'm here. It's actually objective and trackable, and all these great things that, so that we can show, by the way, the word value, so we can show value, and that they don't have to be in the clinic for us to be a value to them and the system. Because let's face it, right? So I'll say the quiet part out loud, right? We have to prove our value to the system, and just because we're communicating with someone doesn't mean there's value there. I think I froze up.
Yeah,
there we go.
Good now.
Right. So the platforms give us all of this, and it gives us, and it's research proof. By the way, you want to go down a rabbit hole, right? I went into Chat GPT in the research chat and started typing in patient engagement, and it's connectedness. I didn't want to say correlation or causation. It's connectedness with outcomes, and the thing will explode, and it'll be running forever, right? Patient engagement correlates with outcomes, right? And if you put together a process, and Ellen showed you some of that, and then you have a structure, you have a tool to A, communicate, and B, track the objective, then you can't lose. You can't lose. You can't lose in today's environment, fee for service, fee for visit. But here's the other thing. You can't lose in the future. And this is what I want everybody to understand. I got on a call yesterday with a Everex client, and I was asking her a lot of questions about her experience. But what were you thinking? Why did you want this tool? And one of the things that came up unsolicited is she wants to go direct to employer. And she wants to go direct to employer and go, I have a solution for you. Not, hey, can we sit down together? So she's on Everex. She's going to be able, and she's already doing it, by the way. She's going to be able to go to her local. She's doing it with the local government. And she's able to show, I have a platform to manage all your MSK people. Mm-hmm. So she's using it in her clinic today for fee for service. But man, you want to talk about the value? And all people have to do is get on the platform, and it's going to be it. We've had that discussion. I've had that discussion with everybody. And so you got 1 foot in today, and you got 1 foot in tomorrow, and it's going to allow you. I don't like the word pivot, because pivot sounds like you got to change everything. It's just going to allow you to shift. It's just going to allow you to move down the continuum.
Yeah. Prevent those downstream costs, which is an easy value add to employers, and you can easily demonstrate that. I mean, pretty much all we we told to employers at Physera, and all we did was say, we're packaging this, solution where we're giving you early access and we're giving you an engaging tool that's actually going to get people to participate in their care plans. And we're infusing elements of, behavior change and data science and machine learning to create a program that's engaging. And all of that is what we're building at EverX too, is just how we can make this as engaging as possible to drive those outcomes. And like you've said many times before, like, you're already prescribing home exercises, so you're already spending the time to build patients a program. So it's not much different than what you're already doing in many ways.
Yeah, right. I think it's a lot more similar than people think. I think, hey, it's something new, right? It's something new.
Yeah, and I think
we just got a comment here from Mariana, just saying, I love this discussion about, like you said, the behavior change, right? I love that, right? Again, here we go again, right? Oh, I can put someone on a home exercise program and I can check if they did it. Well, it's bigger than that. It's Ellen's example. Hey, did you adjust your desk today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? Thanks for reminding me. I'm doing it right now. I mean, that, and by the way, you get paid for that communication.
Right.
Exactly. Remember, that's a downstream effect, but that, right, where we've all done that. We've all checked in on patients, but it wasn't billable. So that is a downstream result. So I'm just going to keep saying it out loud. But now you get to do it, right? And you get to drive that stuff. And that's going to be, there's so many roads. And I knew this was going to happen today, right? We could go down all these, we could just talk behavioral change. We could just talk communication. We could just talk, right? How, using it in the clinic, using it out of the clinic, using it in a fee-for-service model, using it in a value-based care model, using it in a direct-to-employer model. And there's so many good things here. The thing I'm going to say really quick is patient engagement is insanely research-backed. This is a patient engagement tool, right? Whether it's someone in your clinic, whether it's someone you've never met face-to-face. I mean, think about that, right? With the direct to employer, you could end up, right? Someone does a screening, they get on the app, they're connected to a provider. Maybe you never meet them, right? But everything you need is right there. You communicate with them, you help them, they share their feedback, they share their pain. We get to see their range of motion, their activity.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all great features. I think the billing is different. It is, a little bit different in terms of how the codes are structured. But once you learn, and behavior change 101 too, once you learn and you feel comfortable and capable in it, it's really
right. Behavior change, right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, both sides of the coin. Let's face
exactly.
it. That's okay. So, all right, you all know I got an agreement with EverX. You all know I get paid by EverX. So let's just put that out there. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I was shown their, I'm going to say client, patient, customer. So you're on EverX, you put your patients on there, or other people who aren't patients but need some help. The dashboard to manage them from a billing side was a huge aha. My eyebrows went up. I was like, so everybody has this information, they can see it? Yeah. Right. Making sure people understood the codes, making sure people were compliant. So the way I saw that dashboard was a compliance setup, right? And so not leaving you out there hanging going, here's the codes, go build them. Yeah, let's talk about this part. Because again, okay, let's do it. I want to be able to bill. So let's not make it difficult. Well, EverX didn't make it difficult. They even put in a dashboard that will help you to manage and know when the work has been done and when you are able to bill any of the codes, who's engaged, who's not, who's on their way. Yeah, that dashboard was very, when I saw that, I was grinning ear to ear, because I sat there as Natasha was taking me through. I'm trying to think of all the resistance that I would have given as an owner. Now I got to learn new codes and I got to figure out billing, and he take me to the dashboard. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, we want to take the most complicated part and make it as simple as possible. So, you know, the codes, and we have a few different views. You could look at it by month, you could look at it by patient, you can look at it by um, there's so many different ways to kind of filter the data. But either way, their guesswork is, you know, there's no guesswork for you. You know if it's been satisfied or not. You know if you need to make a synchronous call to satisfy the code or not. You know if how many days of monitoring have occurred. All of that information is just tracked, and it will let you know if it's ready to bill once the requirement is met. So yeah, that component we're making easy. You know, it's an FDA Class 2 software as a medical device. So from that standpoint, the supply of the medical device is one of the RTM criteria. So again, we're trying to make that as simple as possible, since it is sometimes new for people to think about how these, you know, it's not an 8-minute rule. You're talking about days of data transmission, which is not something PTs are necessarily used to. So keeping it simple.
Yeah, I want to double back on what you just said. So it's not an 8-minute rule. It's not all this, which cracks me up when people start the conversation with, "What about the codes? Are they how you know, what do we have to do?" It's like, well, that's not the point. If you just do the patient engagement work, those boxes will start checking, and magically, you just go through and then you build them. And yes, it's that simple. It's never that easy. You still got to learn it, and you still got to learn the compliance side. Yet Everex has done an awesome job. And you made another great point, Ellen, is there is a provider view. So if I'm the physical therapist, I might not need to see that bigger picture, but I can see my patients. I can see where I am at any one time with them. And then as an owner or clinic manager or whatever other level, you can come in at a higher view on that dashboard page. And by the way, as someone wanting to be proactive in a business, right, that should be something that an owner or a clinic manager is looking at frequently. Then, by the way, some people have set up bonus structures around RTM, which I think is a great idea. And it gives you one place to look. So now we're not going, wait, I did this. No, you did this. We're tracking it in different places. So just again, the value of all of that. I don't want to get into the billing, but I just want people to know the compliance is a big part of the compliance is built into the platform.
Yeah. And one like newer feature I really love too. So you mentioned the clinician dashboard, and now we're making it really simple for a clinician to manage their whole caseload too, by categorizing patients a little differently. There's some semi-automated messaging, meaning the messaging is based on what the patient has done, and therefore you at least have a starting place to know sort of like, hey, this is a good message to, you know, check in on my patient that's had high pain, or here's a good message to send my patient that reported difficulty with their workout. And so some of that is at least pre-populated, so you don't have to go in and craft a new message every time. And so you've got an easy way to navigate your whole caseload based on what's clinically relevant, which I think is just such a time saver. And for me too, like, I can be a little bit blunt by messaging. So having like pre-populated messaging really helps, even just like with being warm and friendly and how you communicate. And so I really like that feature as well. So it's really exciting to see that progress, and what I think that feature will do for patient engagement. I think it's going to be quite impactful.
So the research is there on patient engagement, right? Patient engagement is going to help you. By the way, if you use no tech at all in your company, patient engagement has to be the focus, right? How do we engage with people early on in their journey, the front desk work, right? How do we set and manage expectations? How do we build trust? And so patient engagement has to be the goal, has to be the strategy for 2025 and going forward, because patient engagement is built into value-based care, is built into all these other structures. Patient engagement, as we just talked about earlier, is going to give you the opportunity to lead. This is what I love. Hey, Pete, good to see you. Patient engagement is going to give you the opportunity to lead the discussion, not sit back and wait for someone to come. a primary care doctor, an ortho doctor, a practice, a value-based care model to come to you, you get to go to them and go, I've got a patient engagement strategy in place. Because that is going to be one of the big kickers in this whole conversation. And that's what I love about being involved with RTM and Everex is we're giving practice owners more leverage in this future that's upon us already. So patient engagement is the strategy. It has to be the strategy. And oh, by the way, you can get paid for it. And by the way, in the value-based care world, you're going to get paid way more. And the codes are going to become even less significant in the value-based world, because in the value-based world, it's going to be all the work you do is going to pay off in cost savings, right? In risk strategy, right? And risk sharing and all of those things. And Everex will match that for you too, as well an RTM platform. So Ellen, thank you so much for coming on. The research is awesome. If anybody wants the paper, we're going to drop it. I'll drop it in the comments afterwards. And just know you have an author here, so you can reach out to her.
I was not an author, but I was seeing the patients. I was, involved in the program that built it, but it was
part of that. So yeah, I mean, well, part of me is you were the doer. Now, nothing against the authors, but you were doing the work. So
the authors are very close friends and mentors to Todd Norworth, Lauren Beresford. They're brilliant. It is a great read if you're interested in that research.
Cool. I really appreciate it. And, now that the cat's out of bag, I think Ellen and probably other team members will be on some of these LinkedIn Lives. And again, yes, there's a product to be sold, and I believe it's a great product. Yet this is the future, my friends, and everybody needs to be on something out there and needs to be, from 2025 forward, engaged in a patient engagement strategy. And that's the take home here. So thank you, Ellen. I really appreciate it. Don't click off, because we're going to end here. Don't click off. So appreciate it. Appreciate it, Mariana. Pete, thanks for showing up. I appreciate you coming, and we'll see all you again soon. Cheers.
Thank you, Jerry.